You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to pillagingjustforfun.com. That's PJ4F.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call in and give us your takes anytime at 408-909-PJFF. Phone lines are always open. Of course, we're brought to you this week by Creative Media Design Services. Check them out at creativemediamonterey.com. Hey, yo, it's time to pillage another podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler. Yo, sure, talk to me.
What's good, Kenny, man? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Groups just wrapped up. Basically, school year's over. I'd like to say I'm home free, but it's going to be a busy summer. But it was good to see the kids off today, and I was really happy about that. Kind of a quiet week, but we got some stuff to talk about today. How are you living? What's new in your world?
Same thing, man. Everything's coming to a close, you know. So, like you said, the kids are on their way. I got some graduates, so trying to get them pumped up, get them thinking towards the future. So that's a really good thing. But yeah, pretty slow as far as what we can do, right? I mean, it's just kind of like keep encouraging and doing that stuff. But everything else is going great, man.
That's good. That's good. I want to give a special shout out to Silver and Black 666, big member of our blog community. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday to you. I'm not going to sing you happy birthday because
happy birthday.
But Che might. He's got that soul voice, that soulful, smooth, silky voice.
Silky.
I may be stopping by your barbecue this weekend. Hopefully I didn't let the cat out of the bag and the entire blog doesn't show up at your house, but that would be fun. It would be, last year I squirted mustard on your wall. That's part your bad for putting condiments in the corner, but that's mostly my bad for, aiming at the wall, I guess. But I tried to clean it up and you told me not to worry about it. So you're the real MVP.
You're the real MVP.
All right, man, maybe I shared too much. I swear it was only mustard. I was excited. Was not that excited. All right. So we're going to get into it. Not a whole lot of Raider news this week. OTAs are underway. Undrafted free agents have been signed since earlier this month. But we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to put our Nostradamus hats on again this week. And we're going to talk a little bit about who our breakout players are going to be, most underrated player on the roster, which is the favorite category on the blog, and most disappointing player. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL rule changes. So we'll cover those last two after the break. So are you ready? Let's get into it, man.
Do it.
So this was your idea. Not to put it all on you. I thought it was a great idea. But I'm just saying that because I'd like you to have first serve here.
You're saying basically if this goes bad,
it's on you, brother.
It's all on me. It's all on me. All right, I'll take blame for it.
It all falls back on you. Shout out to Dr. Dre.
Oh yeah.
Hey, yo, Dre. So tell me, man, who's your breakout player this year? Who should we be surprised about? Who should we be excited about? Who's gonna
excited about? And I think I don't know if it's I wouldn't necessarily say it's a surprise. I think it's something that we're waiting for. For me, I think the breakout player this year is gonna be Mario Edwards Jr. Wow. Yeah, MEJ. He's looking great in OTAs, and I know as fans we only get to see snippets of videos and that, but the dude looks ready to go. He's saying all the right things. He looks motivated. He wants to be up there with the best in the league.
Yeah.
And dude just looks like a beast right now.
A lot of NFL prognosticators. I just dropped that one on you. Analysts, if you will. And I know you will. You might not. But I've heard a lot mentioned about him, even actually in this offseason, because there was a lot of speculation about our defensive line and whether or not we were able to draft that or not. And they brought him up. And basically what they said is if he comes back healthy and he plays to the potential that we've heard about, then this guy can be a perennial Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
injuries have hampered him. They've hamstrung him, if you will. Even though I know it's not a hamstring injury, but play on words, feeling playful. I agree with you there. I got a different guy, but I'd love to see that. If Mario Edwards is our breakout player this year, that solves a lot of problems on that defensive line. If Vander Bulldozer, I'm going to call him Bulldozer. Let's call him that.
Go with that.
If he can just be that bulldozer and push the line and let Mack and Edwards play, man, we're going to feast on quarterbacks.
I think so.
I like Edwards. We've both liked Edwards. The dude flashed. He seemed like to be the answer to a lot of our problems when he stepped up 2 seasons ago. And it was unfortunate to see him go down. You just showed me the snippets right now, and I know everybody looks good in shorts,
right?
But he looks better than everybody else in the shorts. His cuts are so sharp, so fast, so
real
crisp.
Quick reactions, man. I'm like I said, I saw that and I was like, whoa. Yeah. This guy's ready to go. This guy's serious.
I feel like he's probably been healthy for a little while now, and he's been on ice, been on bubble wrap, and maybe just working on those fundamentals. So he's kind of started OTAs maybe several months ago on his own. I wasn't tracking his injury progress so closely the last few months, so I don't really know when he was able to put the cleats back on. But you got to imagine he had a little bit of head start over everybody, and there's nothing bad about that.
No, not at all, man.
So my breakout player is a guy we drafted this year in the second round, Obi-Wan. I really feel like the force is with him.
The force is with him, man.
I like this kid. So we drafted Carl Joseph last year. A lot of people said he's undersized. He ended it, he brought the licks this year. You saw that he can actually hit in the NFL, and that's for real. It transferred. So the irony is we pick up a guy that's 6'4", 225 pounds, and his specialty is he's a ball hawk. And I'm not saying Carl Joseph isn't or that he can't be, because we saw some flashes of that too. A couple times we saw him kind of surprise himself so much he didn't come down with it. But now you got a guy in Obi that can also hit, can also play up in the box, can play the run, but is also a bit of a sniper. And he, the only thing about him on tape is he looks a little bit slow, but he does have a long stride, so I know that's kind of deceptive.
You know what? It's kind of like that Eric Dickerson syndrome, man.
Right.
You look at Eric Dickerson when he was running on film, he looked like he was jogging.
Yeah.
But he was slowly pulling away from people. I think that's the kind of speed that Obi has, because we know. We saw what he ran in the 40, and we know he's got that top speed. Yeah. So it might just want to be one of those things, just because he's a longer player.
Yeah. His
strides don't look as quick.
Yeah. Now the knock on him is that he waits till the ball's in the air to make his break. Coach staff's going to work with him on that. Obviously, he's a rookie. He's got a lot of developing to do. But I like the guy. I think he's a compliment to our secondary. I don't expect him to start day one. But I expect him to be in packages early and often, and probably steal that starting position from Reggie Nelson later in the year. I really am. I'm expecting big things from this dude. Our secondary just got a whole lot younger. And Obi, I'm looking at you. I want you to be the breakout player. I want you to put Nelson on the bench and have him become the new Nate Allen. I would really like that.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I like that.
Because I know that we're going to get the disappointing player later, but I think Nelson for me was most disappointing last year, and I wasn't even expecting anything out of him. So,
no, I would have to agree with that. We, like you said, that's later on, but last year for sure for me, and we talked about it many times after games. I always felt like the dude was just positioned wrong. Like he was coming in, taking bad angles for tackles.
Yeah.
So if we can get either he corrects that, or we get somebody that comes in and does it a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'll be happy with that.
And at his age, I don't expect Nelson to get any faster. And he should have the smarts, but I just don't know if it was an adjustment thing. But through 16 weeks, he didn't adjust. I'm not saying he didn't come through for us. He did at the end of some games.
Yeah.
That Tennessee game, that hit was, but he padded his stats a lot late in games last year.
He did.
So most underrated player. Or sleeper player, I guess you can say. Who's on the top of your list? Who should we? Who are we not expecting?
Well, for me, there's a bunch of guys that you could probably point at and say this guy could be a sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I was thinking about last season and thinking about the sleeper picks that we had last season, where we had Seth Roberts come out, where we had with Jalen Richard come out. Both of them undrafted. basically unknowns.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they became big players for us.
Yeah.
So I started looking into these undrafted guys. And just recently, out of nowhere, this kid, Jaden Mickens, that we got undrafted from the draft last year, not this year, in 2016. He got picked up by us. He was put on our practice squad, and he spent that whole year on the practice squad. Didn't even know about him. And then all of a sudden, he just kind of popped up in my social media. And I clicked on him. I'm like, who's this guy? And then I come to find out he's on our squad. And I'm looking at some videos, some highlights. And the kid looks like he has the talent to play inside receiver, real quick feet, real quick cuts. Every time I see a video of him, the dude creates separation between him and the defender, which I really like, because we got the two outside receivers. If we can get somebody that breaks down the inside of the field, even better, right? And I'm not saying Seth Roberts isn't going to do that for us, but if we can add somebody else, that'd be great. So I kind of feel like, just like Seth Roberts spent a couple years on the practice squad before he got on the field, I feel like this guy could possibly do the same. He looked great in Washington. That's where he came out of. He came out of Washington. He was a wide receiver tandem with John Ross, who obviously came out this year in the first round.
Yeah.
And we know he broke that 40 times. So that guy had the speed. This guy didn't have the speed, and maybe that's the reason why he went undrafted. He's not the tallest guy. He's 5'11", 170 pounds. But the dude's quickness just jumps off the screen. And if he can get his consistency issues under wraps, I think that he might be that breakout player that no one's suspecting.
Yeah, him and Roberts have consistency issues, right?
Yeah.
They sound like similar players almost. And even if he was the fourth wide receiver, I wouldn't be mad. We saw after the Carr injury last year that this offense can get a lot done in the shotgun,
right,
which lends itself very well to going 4 wide.
Exactly.
So I wouldn't be. I guess the whole point is that I would be shocked, but I would like to see that.
Yeah.
We seem to have a knack for these practice player, undrafted free agent guys.
Exactly.
And he could be one of those guys. So my guy, I kind of have 2 guys on my list. I have one that's been around, and I got another new guy. First off, and I said this guy was maybe going to win the starting role last year at running back, and he didn't. It was a bold projection. But DeAndre Washington. Yeah. I think that he's got the physical makeup, and he's got the skill set to really do a lot of damage in the NFL. Obviously, Richard took away a lot of his carries, but now that we got Lynch in there, we talked a little bit, I think it was last week, how we may preserve Lynch early on and kind of limit his snaps a little bit. Obviously, he's going to be a force. He's going to be a wrecking ball for us. He's going to be a major tool, but we got 3 solid running backs on the squad. Washington did some things last year. Yeah. He just didn't get enough carries. And, I likened him to Garner. I think he's a little bit bigger up top, but he kind of scampers like Garner did. He's not as great as Garner. I'm not saying he is Garner, but I liken his running style to that.
It's a good comparison.
Yeah, and he can catch the ball too. So he's one of my guys. I think that he's going to get more of a look this year than he did last year. Murray, obviously, younger guy. He was the bruiser. And then you had, your choice between Richard and Washington for your speed guys. But I think Washington kind of is on the fence of both being sort of a bruiser and being quick. He's not the big dude, but he's got some size up top. Right. It's pretty broad up top. And I saw Richard actually bulked up too this offseason. He looks a little bigger. My new guy is an undrafted free agent because I thought in true Reggie McKenzie fashion, I'd pick one of those dudes.
There you go.
Breon Borders, who's been stirring up a lot of talk on the blog, and I really think shouldn't go overlooked. He's a cornerback out of Duke. Now, I know that's not the strongest conference in the NCAA, but regardless, his stat sheet looks really nice. In the last 2 seasons, his completion percentage against was 38%, last year 38.3%, and 42% in 2015, both under 50%, both fantastic numbers. Throughout his the last 2 seasons, 26 passes defensed and 12 interceptions during his career. He's a 3-year starter. I just like everything. He's got a lot of experience. He's way under the radar, and we definitely need as much depth as we can get in the corner position, especially in the nickel and the dime. we got Conley now, we got Smith, we got Emerson, and obviously we got TJ, right? But there's competition there for that nickel and dime position. And I like Borders. I like the depth that we have with him. And even if we had to go quarter and we had to bring out 5, that's another body right there. So fingers crossed for Border. He's a shorter dude, 6 feet, only 180 pounds. I guess that's not too short for a corner.
Not too bad for a corner.
That's pretty average, I'm 6 feet. As you know, I had a illustrious NFL career at cornerback. You don't hear a lot about white cornerbacks, which is probably why you never heard of me.
Jason Sehorn.
Oh, you just said Jason Sehorn.
I had to go there, man.
That's awesome. So that's my guy, Breon Borders or DeAndre Washington, and I feel like Washington probably has more of a chance to be an impact because it's the second year, but probably the biggest sleeper out of the two would be Borders because UDFA. So, also a quick first segment. We're gonna get in, get out. We don't need to keep you guys on the radio for an hour every single week, but we do what we want.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to hit the break right now. Hopefully here for some of our callers. I haven't checked the inbox yet. If you're listening and you want to call in, you're too late. We recorded this already. You're probably eating dinner right now. But a call in for next week. I just want to remind everyone, 909 or 408-909-PJFF. The phone line is always open. I'm working on getting callers live on the air. It sounds a lot easier than it is, but I want to make sure that when we do it right the first time, because when you're recording this stuff, technical difficulties, they happen. Everything you don't expect is going to happen. And so we'd like to implement that at some point in the off season. Might be a good time to try that out. But call in, man. Leave us a message. You can talk about anything, and if we like it, we'll play it. Most of the time, I just put everything on the air. Just remember, there's families that listen in their car, so let's try to keep it at least PG-13. And we look forward to hearing from you. So if you got anything else to say,
no, man, I'm good. I think we covered some players to watch, right? And by no means are we able to tell the future, but
yeah,
I think we got some hopes for some people, and I think we have a reason for it.
We're going to hit on one of those guys.
I think so, right? We can't go wrong. Maybe let's throw out a few more names and
let's throw them all out there.
Just throw them all out there, man.
So cool. We'll catch you guys on the other side, and go Raiders.
Peace.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans, featuring fan-submitted articles and the most lively Raider Nation conversation on the internet. Follow us on Twitter @PillageJustForFun. That's @PillageJust4Fun. Also, tune in every Tuesday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio.
What's up, Raider brethren? Kenny's doing a hell of a job, just like our team is getting ready for this next season. Jack's going to get that defense ready for us. And Derek's got unfinished business. Just get ready for the best season we have had since 1983. This our time. Later.
Hey, fellow pillagers. This is Tucker Rule Fool. How's it going? First time, long time listener. Anyway, I'm not sure exactly what the topic is today, but my pet peeve here is just ignoring the inside linebacker position. I don't know why we are doing that. A lot of people think we got a lot of safeties now. It's okay. But it seems like when you got a simple problem, take a simple answer. And you got Riley on the street. We missed Zach Brown, which to me is crazy for $3 million. So I just hope we can clog up that middle. But I think on offense we're going to be a powerhouse. Everyone's freaking out about Carr, and we're going to sign him. We're going to sign him. That's ridiculous. Of course we're going to sign the guy. I think we've got a lot of cap space too. So I think this idea that we got to save a lot of money is a little bit overblown. Psyched for this year. I think we're going to be dominant. I love our schedule. We only got 2 games on the East Coast for 10 a.m. I think that's a big plus for us. Even the East Coast games we got at night. We got 2 3-game 2-3 game homestands, even though I guess one of them is really technically not because we're going to Mexico. I'm really looking forward to that game too with Tom Brady. So anyway, a lot of topics. Maybe you can filter and take some of this. And I can't wait till the podcast's over to listen to it. Take care. See you guys.
All right, and we're back. So we got a couple more things to get into before we're out of here. We talked about our breakout player, our sleeper, most underrated player. Now it's time to talk about our most disappointing player. And I was talking to Che off the air, and he told me I don't want there to be any disappointing players.
Exactly, no. Nothing. Everybody plays great. We have a Pro Bowl team of nothing but Raider players. That'd be fantastic.
It's the Raiders versus the NFC, and we'll be in the Super Bowl, so none of us will play. Pro Bowl will be effectively called off this year. I wish that was the case too, man, but someone's gonna drop the ball. Yeah. No pun intended. Pun definitely intended. My disappointing player this year, I have two. One's kind of a controversial, maybe. I'm just gonna throw it out there and maybe try to shut down my website.
I'm sweating for you over here, man.
Might get run off. I might have the IP taken away from me. All that. And then maybe I am just doing it to stir up the pot, but I think my lock for disappointing player this year is going to be David Amerson. And I feel good about saying that because of where he was trending last year and the fact that we have Conley possibly right behind him. I'm looking for Smith to step up this year for reasons we'll talk about when we get to you, because I already know what you're going to say, because I'm that smart. I'm just that smart. I could look at you. I know what you're going to say. No, we talked about it. I'm not that arrogant, just on the air. My most disappointing player is David Amerson. So in 2015, he joined our team effectively coming off the couch, and he played in 14 games. He started 12. And in those 12 games that he started, 25 passes defensed and 4 picks. And we were praising Reggie McKenzie and thanking the Washington Redskins for gifting us this player. And he just looked like this guy's got a major chip on his shoulder. And, here we go. We got David Amerson. We got an answer at cornerback, came out of nowhere. It's great. It was a blessing. He even had a touchdown that year, pick 6, 28-yarder. And then last year, he starts 15 games, starts 3 more games that he did the year before. He had slightly more tackles, 64 versus 58. He's a corner. That's not what we're really looking for him to do. In those 15 games, he had about half as much production. He had 16 passes defensed and 2 interceptions. And I'll take the 2 picks. Right. But 16 passes defense versus 25. And maybe he was getting a lot more looks the previous year. But he wasn't getting any less last year. I'll tell you that. Why would he? I'm sure there's reasons why, and I'm sure you guys are going to tell me why. But I don't know that it'd be a shocker. But I look for him to sort of maybe just kind of, even if he repeated last year or was slightly less than last year, that's disappointing to me, because what we saw he can do. Right. And yeah, he'll be going up against some tougher offensive this year. So it's the deck's kind of stacked against him, which, it's too bad. The schedule is what it is. You got to step up and play. So I think Amerson's the most disappointing player. The guy that I have on the bubble, and this is going to be a shocker for some, but number 89, Amari Cooper. He's got great numbers for the most part. But we saw second half decline his first year, and he had every reason for the decline. You could say rookie wall. You could blame it on his injury, which, he definitely was injured. They were being used as a decoy. That all came out of his mouth or coach's mouth. So that's not speculation. But last year, he had the same kind of second half drop off. Right. So, you can give me the positives and tell me why I'm wrong here or why I could be wrong. And I'm not saying, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Cooper's going to be bad. But when the first half of his first season, we saw that this guy has the tools to be elite. He smashed on the Chargers. Oh, yeah. He looked good against the Ravens. First game of the season against, what was the Bengals that year, right? Cincinnati that we lost to. Was it
the first game?
Right off the bat, I think.
Yeah, you know what? It was, because we were like, we're getting this game, and we
Yeah.
We blew that game.
And, you know,
We
he
got blown out that game.
Yeah, and he had a pretty nice run after catch in that game, if I remember right. But then he got shooken up by Pac-Man
Right.
and kind of disappeared for the rest of that game. Bounced back against the Ravens, came strong against the Chargers, and then second half of the season just completely disappeared. He didn't completely disappear last year, but he wasn't there when we needed him. Crabtree dropped a lot of balls in the second half. You could attribute that to his broken finger because he kind of got overshadowed by Carr's finger. But he broke his finger in the same game, I believe, against Kansas City. Or no, it was before that. Sorry, it's prior to that. But right around the same time.
Right.
I think it was same game,
a couple weeks apart, or something like that.
within a couple games. So Cooper, man, we need you to step up this year, and I'm saying that above average numbers to me are disappointing.
Right, because we want this guy to be a star. Yeah. Now I could see your argument, man. I could see that.
Now, what were you saying? You're saying like what we want to see out of him is we've seen him do well, but who do we want him to be?
Right. We want him to be that 1,600 yard, close to 2,000, something big, right? We want 100 catches, that kind of receiver, somebody that's constantly threatening the defenses, somebody that you always got a game plan around, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's not the case already. That obviously teams got to take notice of him. But like you said, I have to agree that he has disappeared in the second half of the last two seasons, and my hopes is that you're wrong, and he has a breakout season. He has a great second half to go with a great first half. Yeah, and then we can say, oh, thank God that worked out. You know what I mean?
He's one of three players.
He's one of only three players in NFL history with 70 receptions and 1,000 yards in his first two seasons.
In each of his first two seasons?
In each of his first two seasons, right. So when you look at that, it's kind of hard to find fault with him. But like you said, when we look a little bit more in depth and we look at the split between the first 8 games and the second 8 games, there's definitely a difference. And he knows it. He's aware of it. He's speaking on it. Yeah. And he's hoping that he breaks that trend. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to fault the guy when he has that going for him, right? I mean, he joins Marcus Colston and Odell Beckham Jr. is the only other players in NFL history with 70 receptions and 1,000 yards. So tough one, but I said, I was over here sweating for you.
We do want to see him be the guy that's like, I think you said this during the break, every week where we're like, wow, did you see what Cooper did? Every single week.
Every week. I want to see a big play out of Cooper. If not a big play, then he had a big game. Maybe that doesn't mean that he had a big breakout play, 70-yard or whatever, but maybe he just had like 15 receptions, some consistent,
2 touchdowns.
Right. If he doesn't have that big play game, then he has, big numbers as far as his receptions, his yards, his totals. Yeah. Because we all know that translates to giving up more opportunities to our run game, to Crab, to our tight ends, whoever else is on the field, right? Because he's going to be targeted. Yeah. We want to see that every single week. We don't want to see like the first 8 games he's playing out of this world, and then he comes back down to earth that second half. Or you're asking, wait, where's that big play? Or what's up with Mari? Is he injured? Right? We shouldn't be asking that question in the second half.
We shouldn't be.
And I feel like we were doing that this season. Yeah. At certain points in the season, we were kind of like, wait, we haven't heard his name yet. No.
Yeah. So who's your guy? Who's gonna let us down this season?
I was thinking about it, and kind of mentioned him in the first segment. First segment, we talked about Reggie Nelson. Yeah. I don't know, man. I like I said last season, I sat there. I watched watched all the games, every single game possible.
Twice.
And, twice. I would record them and I'd watch them again. Right.
Yeah.
And it always felt like the dude was just taking bad angles. Anytime we had big plays, you looked at replays, or I would rewind the damn play and I look at it and I see this guy coming in short and not making the tackle that he should have if he took the right angle. And then it goes back to that whole idea of like Sean Smith not having a great season. and everybody kind of wondering what the hell. Like, this dude came from Kansas City. And Kansas City was doing his thing, and you mentioned it that you felt like the help. There was a miscommunication between the safeties and the corners, and Reggie Nelson might have been a part of that. So I feel like he's going to be our disappointing player. And like I said earlier, I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he comes out. He has another Pro Bowl season with everything to back it up, because I feel like he got on the Pro Bowl. He made the Pro Bowl this season, but I didn't really feel like he backed it up.
No.
And maybe that's just because from our standpoint, our defense isn't playing that great in general. And so it's kind of hard to find pluses on our defense, at the moment. But to me, I don't know. I always see, I would see the plays, and it just never felt like things were cohesive, like he was doing, or he was where he was supposed to be.
He wasn't scaring anybody.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel like that. And like you said, it always seemed like he padded his stats at the end of the games.
At the end of games,
he always got an interception when the game was pretty much over, or the team was kind of hurrying to try to get back in the game, right?
Desperation throws.
Yeah. Like, flop, just balls in the air, just left up for grabs, and he'd come down with an interception and end the game. And props to him for ending the game. But at the end of the day, those stats ain't as valuable as maybe a play that happens earlier in the game. And then those situations at the end of the games where the teams have a chance to maybe come back, they're not even there.
They don't happen. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I want to see. I want to see him making big plays early and often, not later when it's already when the game's already won.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more. How many times did we see Sean Smith take his chin strap off and turn around last year? Like, what the hell happened?
He did, right? He always seemed to be mouthing something towards the safeties. And
so I almost said Sean Smith because he had the disappointing season last year, but I kind of felt like you do. I put it on Nelson, and the positive spin to this is if he's still declining early on, opens the door for our man Obi-Wan.
Exactly.
So, then at that point, hopefully Sean Smith, he's going to immediately have report the rookie because he's Sean Smith. The rookie's got no choice but listen to the dude in front of him.
Yeah, no, true. He's going to listen to the veterans. He's going to take their advice, and I hope that goes, that all works in his favor.
The other thing, and this is weird, maybe I just missed it, but I don't see you can call this what you want, but I don't see a lot of Nelson like in team picks or anything like that. There just doesn't seem to be any camaraderie there or leadership. And I don't know, maybe two vets like Smith and Nelson. Maybe it's just too many vets in the kitchen. I don't know.
Possible.
I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing stuff at the wall there, but so there it is. Disappointing players. I'd say Amerson and Nelson, both on our secondary. And I put Cooper out there, but like I said, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying he's gonna go in the cellar this year. I'm just you can do more, Cooper, and I know you know that too. Yeah. So anything
get mean, man. I want to see some toughness out of him too.
Yeah, he gets his head slammed to the ground by Pac-Man week 1, and in the Pro Bowl he's taking selfies with dude.
Come on, man. Man, I would have got up in that dude's face. You gonna slam my head? Nah, that's not flying.
Nope.
We need Romo back on the team, man. Maybe it was just sidelines. It's just on the
anger coach.
Yeah.
Anger
teaching people how to get crazy.
Anger mismanagement classes is what we need. Man, that'd be an interesting conversation. That'd be great. Romo in the film room with Cooper going over the tape of Pac-Man slamming his head in the ground over and over and over again. What are you doing? Now, this is a guy right here that when he gets under your skin, you need to fight back. I'm going into games with a chainsaw strapped around my neck.
Yeah.
That's my Romo impression for the week.
That's a dead-on Romo impression, too. There's nothing outlandish about what you just said. Romo would definitely say something along those lines, right?
So, so that's that. Let's look at something that's not disappointing and the NFL rule changes. I liked a lot of these changes. I'm looking at them here on SB Nation, and they graded them, and I'm not going to go into their grades or whatnot, but they graded a lot of these low. I like most of these. I think they're pretty good. NFL, the no fun league, but maybe we're easing back on that a little bit. So first one, the one that kind of everybody knows about is they changed the celebration rule, right?
Yeah.
So You still can't do any threatening maneuvers, no imitating weapons. I think there's a time limit of like 30 seconds for end zone celebrations. It's still quite long. I'd like to see coach celebrations.
That'd be dope, right?
Yeah. I'm a fan that likes celebrations. I mean, I'm kind of on both sides. I kind of feel like when you get there, you need to act like you've been there before. There's something about that I really like. They set the ball down on the ground, they walk away, and I'm like, that's strong. You know,
right?
But I also like some of the stuff's entertaining to me.
It is entertaining, man.
You know?
And let's be real. It's entertainment, man. This sports are entertainment. So why not give the fans a little bit of that fun side of entertainment, right? It's like it doesn't have to be all business all the time.
And it's a player to player basis. There's guys that are going to celebrate, and there's those guys that are going to be the class act.
Exactly.
Just kind of get in where you fit in. You know, I was just listening to that record yesterday, still slapping.
Yeah.
I'd like to mention some of the names of the songs, but I can't do that. But shout out to Betty. It's too bad what happened to you.
It's very sad.
But speaking of which, good segue into the second half of this rule is celebrations that are deemed too sexy are going to be
Sexy.
too sexy for this spike. Yeah, so I don't know if that's going to be like penalized on the field or penalized with a fine, because I don't know if it's up to Ed Hockey to determine what's too sexy or not. What's the hand signal for that look like?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Maybe doing the curves of a woman kind of silhouette hand gesture that you see.
Maybe a little Michael Jackson crotch grab in a spin.
Maybe the print scissors across the eyes, the two fingers across the eyes. I don't know. I'd like to maybe write into the league on that one. I think
we need to send some suggestions. When you're going to call this penalty, this is what I want to see.
Maybe doing the butthead dance from Beavis and Butthead. You know, the kind of the hip thrust. But that itself is flaggable. So I don't know. The examples they brought up were the what was it? The twerking from last year, right?
Antonio Brown. I think,
Antonio Brown's twerking and Michael Bennett's pelvic thrusting. Yeah, we don't need any of that.
We need too many of those, man.
I'm good.
Hey, what they need to do is they need to work it into an actual dance routine that everybody knows. Mm-hmm. So if you bust out the Thriller dance, there's a little pelvic thrust in there. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
That little wave. If you get that, then you're all good.
That's all good.
Then that's because everybody knows. Oh, that's Thriller. Got that.
I'm waiting for somebody to pull out like a fake, like a silhouette, like a charade cell phone and like mimic the D pic. All right. And like they're going to send it to your team or something.
You want it? You want it? Pointing out into the stands, man.
We'll call that the Draymond. So the next one, I like this one too. And this one I thought was the most radical. The one cut down day. At the very end.
That one I really like, man. I really like that one cut down from 90 to 53 all at once. Mm-hmm. Sounds like a lot to do, but you get more of a chance to see the talent that these guys have, right? A lot of these guys are under the gun. They have that bad performance, and then they're gone before they even have a chance to make up for it.
Too quick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I think that just assures that you have the right guys on your squad at the end of the day.
And I think it kind of forces the coach's hand to play them a little bit more, which means less time for our starters, which is a good thing.
Which is a plus. That's a plus. We don't want nobody getting hurt in preseason.
Right.
Games that don't even matter. Who cares about that?
Because let's face it, the NFL's not going to shorten the preseason. Even though not everybody watches the whole game, they still watch. That's still money. Yeah. NFL's all about that money. So that's not going to happen. But this is kind of maybe leaning towards that a little bit. Right? So what I'm asking for is when they do the cut down, now that it's going to be everybody at once, is I watch a lot of cooking shows. And so when the judges are kind of like over the dishes, you get the sidebar of everyone sitting in the other room, kind of like, I don't know, man. I mean, my rice was overcooked, and your dish looked real nice.
Looking through that glass, man.
Yeah,
they're just like, oh man, I don't know, man. I think you might have this one, man. No, dude, you got this one.
So I think they should televise that. The roster cut downs should be live. And the NFL gets a little bit more money.
And then they're just consoling each other after they get cut. It's all right, man. We'll be back.
Yeah, you get the guys jumping up doing the not the daddy dance from Maury Povich when they make it. You know? Yeah, that'll be good TV.
I love those. I loved all those, man. Watching Maury Povich, the lie detector test, the you're not the daddy test. Those are fantastic, dude.
So the third one, I don't know if I like this or not. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm going to have to see how it plays out. Regular season overtime now shortened from 15 minutes to 10 minutes. This is a little bit like the NBA, is it not? Yes. The NBA has a shorter overtime period. So definitely the pressure's turned up. We still have the college overtime rule for the most part. I mean, it's a little bit different, but right, sort of mimics that. Both sides get a chance to score in the event of a field goal or a no score, which I happen to love that. And in playoffs, we go back to 15 minutes. But why do you think they do something like this?
Well, I think personally that they want to get the games over with first and foremost, right? Mm-hmm. I just hope that this doesn't result in more ties, because that's some BS right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Games that ended in ties this season.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a record amount of them this season? Like
there was
kind
2
of
or
ridiculous.
3. There's 2 or 3.
Which is more than there's 2 more than there should have been, right? Like,
right.
Nobody should have a record of 5 wins, 2 losses, and a tie. That's ridiculous. That's an eyesore.
It looks ugly, right?
So I'm thinking maybe that's their hopes are somebody will score quickly. But what happens if they don't? It might come back and might bite them in the ass. So
maybe forces a little more aggressive play.
Maybe the coaches get out those big plays, those trick plays, whatever, try to make it happen. But
yeah. So I think we got to wait to see how this plays out. I mean, if it gets a little more aggressive, that's cool. I'm cool with that. I think that's exciting. But if it does result in more ties, I'm not with that.
No, I'm not with that at all.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's why you get the game over with in the regular time.
That's right. Reggie Nelson.
Don't leave none of those games up for grabs in overtime, man. Don't go to overtime. It's that simple. If you're taking care of business, you'll get it over with quickly.
Yeah, get it done. I don't want to see any Oakland Raider overtime games this year.
It. None.
0. None. If we do, I want to see a Amari Cooper touchdown first play. Boom.
There you go.
Boom.
Bomb. 70-yard.
There it is. So the next few are sort of meh. League loosened standards for GM interviews. So recently, it's been kind of a thing where potential GM candidates can force basically the ability to have say-so over a 53-man roster. And I think for some guys and for some teams, that could be a good thing, right? But for others, maybe it doesn't make a huge difference. But, that's what your GM's there to do, is it not? Mm-hmm. I mean, so I don't know how I feel about that. I think that's what your GM's there to do. He's a personnel guy. For somebody like Trent Baalke, this is probably a good thing. Then again, I don't think he has a job this year. So I don't really know how I feel about this. I mean, again, this is kind of like a whatever thing.
I think so. I don't know. I'm more focused on the players.
Yeah.
And what's going on with them.
And I don't think it's going to impact us. I mean, Mackenzie's sort of like, I know everyone gets their input. Jack's definitely had input since he's gotten here. And some people even argued that Mark, is the guy that got his car, which is interesting. And I don't buy that at all, for the record.
I want to talk to these people. I want to see what their reasoning is, man, because this is the first I've heard of this. Maybe whispers here and there, but I always go, really?
You need to spend more time on the blog.
Apparently.
Or not. I don't know. How do you feel about that? So the next one is one I absolutely don't care about. The LA stadium is actually the construction. There's a lot of construction delays. Not a surprise, really. There, I think anywhere you're going to have that. It's a big project. This is a huge project. NFL Network's going to have a studio there. I mean, they're going all out. So they're pushing back the Super Bowl. They were going to host the Super Bowl in 2020, but they're going to push that back to 2021. So they're going to host Super Bowl 56. Whatever. I mean, I'm kind of interested to see how a Super Bowl in LA plays out. And that'll be entertaining, but who cares? talking about
Who's playing there again?
the Rams and the Chargers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They're kind of surprised they're still in the league, to be honest. Might start a spin-off league.
A development league?
Yeah.
We're going to get an NFL development league like
They're,
the NBA.
They're in the XFL, and that's EXFL.
They're just going to drop them, dude. They're just gonna be like, you know what? You guys need to work on some stuff. We'll bring you back. You know what, man? The Mexican Soccer League has that.
They do.
They do. Swear to God, if a team ain't cutting it, they give a chance to the development league or the lower league, the AAA league, whatever they call it, to come up. And they'll take somebody that's been in the actual the high-level league, and they'll drop them. They'll be like, go work on your stuff. You guys need some better players over there.
Mijo. Boy.
Yeah, man. That's what they need to do.
Huh. They're
Scare
keeping
some
it,
people.
keeping it real over there.
Come on, Rams, Chargers.
That'd be wild. All of a sudden, the Chargers are in the Arena Football League.
Get your ish together, man.
Phillip Rivers like throwing into the crowd. I'm not used to this. Crying, throwing fits. That's awesome. God, I would love to see Phillip Rivers get checked into the boards in the Arena League. Wow. You got me thinking now.
That'd be awesome, right?
I'm going to lose sleep tonight thinking about that. That's just too enticing. And the last one, this was tabled. They did not vote on this. They were trying to decide whether or not they would allow teams to negotiate with coaches who are still in the playoffs. That got tabled, which I'm glad. I think this should have just been a no. You know, because we're going to be in the playoffs this year. And
hell yeah, we're going to be in the playoffs.
I'm not saying anyone's going to steal Jack away. I think Jack's going to be in Oakland or with the Raiders. I need to correct myself. For as long as he can be. I mean, once they go to Vegas, who knows? I know he's an Alameda guy, but he's a Raider guy. So, we don't have to worry about that. But we got supporting coaches that can get talks, right? There's guys that can get poached off of our staff, and leave them alone.
Leave them alone, dude.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this. We were saying, how is it that somebody can focus and give all their attention to your team in the most important time in the season during the playoffs if they're talking to another team about possibly getting a new job? Come on now. Yeah. That just tells me you might even be sabotaging the team.
True.
Maybe you don't even care if they get that far in the,
Yeah.
That way you can get out sooner.
Yeah.
Sooner the season ends, the sooner you can get paid, right?
Get paid.
Yeah. So, that stuff shouldn't be going on, man.
It's 3rd and 15. Quarterback draw.
What?
QB draw.
We're going victory, 3rd quarter.
Kneel the ball. Excuse me, I didn't catch that. Kneel on the ball. I'm going to Carolina. Excuse me?
It's funny, but it's not funny, though.
it's not funny. All right. Well, that's it for this week.
Oh, man.
I think we just about covered it all.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Always.
Always.
It's always fun over here, man. The crow's nest.
The crow's nest.
I hear the seagulls coming around over here.
We're up here, man. We're out here doing our thing. We're here every week for you. If we're not, there's a good reason for it. I'll tell you that much. We didn't really have much at the beginning of this week, and we dug it up.
We got to give the fans what they want.
We got to give them what they want.
Got to give them what they want.
Because you guys give us what we want every week, and that's all your support. The plays have been strong. The listens are good. Getting some really good feedback. Keep it coming, guys. We really appreciate you. Again, make your voice heard. Share us on Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, Snapchat. Try to get us out there. Help us out. If you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes or tell a friend. The iTunes reviews are big as far as getting us to the front page and getting the word out there. Remember, we're all one nation, right?
One nation under a groove. Getting down.
Wow, I'm going to put some P-Funk on after this.
Oh, yeah. Come on now, George Clinton. Where you at?
Oh, mama.
That's what we need to get George Clinton and Boosie Collins in here up in the crow's nest.
I'm back at you again, baby. What's the telephone bill?
Oh, what's the telephone bill? That's a jam right there. That's my jam. Shout out to my boy Jesse. You know what it is, bro. That's all day in college right there.
He knows what it is, huh?
He knows what it is.
Well, that's it, folks. Again, happy birthday, Silver and Black 666. Maybe I'll see you this weekend. Keep the keg cold. I'll be coming through. Anyways, anyways, we're out here. Want to wish you guys a happy Memorial Day weekend. As always, tune in every week, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. We'll be dropping shows on Fridays during the off season. Probably get back to Tuesdays during the regular season. We'll see how that goes. But for now, tune in, join our community at PJ4F. Come for the articles, stay for the conversation. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler, joined every week by my co-host,
Your boy Che.
That's it right there. And we out here. Go Raiders.
Peace.